So tell us a little bit about what company you represent, or a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I work as an agent with my business partner, Onisis Frias, Manel, and we're Rise Agents Inc., formerly FA Insurance. And our name is actually an acronym. It's Rise Insurance Services and Education. So we are an insurance agent. We write home, commercial, except for life and health. We refer it out, So we like to educate our clients. We have a lot of clients that come in or call us and they want to shop around any type of insurance. And sometimes we don't keep the client, but we always want to educate the client what is every coverage. We were trying to be like that mom and pop where we want to service every single client that we get. If our agency grows, that's what we want to continue doing. I've been in the small agencies, I've been in the, big agencies. The big agencies are there for you, but mostly for, those clients that probably have been there the most, or maybe the money-making clients. But we want to just educate everybody how important it is to have any type of insurance, and therefore that's why we're now Rise Agency.
So for people that aren't too familiar with insurance, what is the most basic and common way you could describe why we need insurance, and how to get insurance?
Okay. So obviously when you purchase or lease a car that you're financing or leasing it, or you buy a home, it's required by the bank. Whether it's a mortgage or finance company, leasing company, you're required to have insurance. Usually the people that go buy cars or a house, that lender might know an agent, and that's usually how, the client ends up finding insurance. The most common things we have is, do I still need full coverage if I paid off my car? Or especially like condos, do I need coverage? And a lot of people don't know about renter's insurance. So those are like the three, additional information we give our client. Just because the building has coverage, it's not covering your unit. It's just covering the outer part of it. It's important to have like liability inside the unit, that covers damages done to other units around. Yours catches on fire, damages the next door neighbor, you're liable to pay for that. If your car is, has a high value, even though you paid it off, you bought it cash, you pay for this car, you should have coverage. Somebody can hit and run. We get that a lot. We're in Miami. Cars do get stolen. You want to get some money back of what, your hard work did. So yeah, you should always insure it. But if it's a vehicle that you see that the value is not as high and you're good, and if, it gets stolen, crashed or whatever, then fine, don't put it in, don't put the additional coverages needed. However, we do have antiques should be covered, and there's special coverage for that. Because these are cars that, although they're old, they have a high value. Like my favorite car, 1969 Camaro. That car, if I was to try and purchase it, I've seen it at $25,000. And then we get those like car shows and with the hot rods and stuff like that. Those cars are valuable, but that's a special coverage that most of those cars are more pulled by a trailer, and you really don't even drive it maybe one or maybe even twice a week. So there's special coverage for that, and some people know about that.
Now for I would say for the average between 18 and 25, what coverage, because obviously people are very limited with their earnings,
exactly,
and even excluding for what's going on in the world right now, but what are, not everybody can have liability and car insurance,
right.
And although everybody should have car insurance,
exactly.
What is like the one thing that you always recommend to the average 18 to 25?
Well, 18 to 25 or 21 kind of depends. Most of the time, since the parent is still held accountable for them, because they probably got out of high school and they're going to college. Even if they're going to college out of state, that child's still going to come back home for the holidays or for vacation. So unfortunately, they should be on their parents' policy. There's always parents trying to find a way, but it's always, I experienced that. My mom didn't put me in my insurance when I was really young, and I got into a car accident. It was my fault, and she had to pocket that money out, because she really didn't know the guidelines. So we're supposed to put these kids in our policies. They do drive our cars. They do. They're sometimes careless. They're young, so they have to. And unfortunately, the insurance from 18 to 21 is still expensive. But depending on the parent, if the parent has like there's 3 drivers and 2 cars, it's not gonna hurt as much. But it's better to just pay that high premium than not pay it at all. If it's an 18-year-old that maybe is this a child doesn't have any parents, or they just moved from another country and they're starting, it's gonna skyrocket. I don't lie about it. It doesn't matter if a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just gonna drive like a whatever car and not a finance car,
right.
But the premium's still gonna be high. It doesn't matter if it's an old, what they call transportation. It's still gonna be a high premium. You just have to be patient and see how eventually when you get to 21 to 25, you constantly have insurance, and a good driving record, no claims. Eventually, you're gonna see the relief. The hard part is the claim, yeah. But
what about? I know that there are a few agents that I'm friends with, and they say that in the Miami area, like insurance is so saturated. What are some tips that you can give people to be aware of agencies that do fraud? Because there's a lot of that in Miami.
Well, a lot
maybe
of
like 2 or 3 tips.
Yeah, if the client tells, okay, so I'm a parent, I go in, I want insurance, but I have an 18-year-old, and the guy or the lady tells you, oh, you don't have to put them in there, just, whatever. That's already a clue. If my client comes in and they have a 16-year-old, even if they're 14, I still have to put them on the application. They're just considered like an excluded driver because they don't have a license when they're 14. So if an agent tells them, oh, we don't have to put them in, just, don't say anything, or, put someone else's address, that's already like clue number 1, because that's fraud. No, we have to put that child in the policy. And if you don't want to get charged and excluded, the child cannot drive the car. That's like one of the top reasons why, there's fraudulent claims, because they don't put, or any household driver for the most. If I ask the questions, Paula, is there any other household drivers in the house? And you tell me no, but there is, and they're related to you somehow, that's already, you're giving me, misrepresentation information. You have to tell everyone. A big thing I had when I was starting in the business was like when people share an apartment, are there any other drivers? Yeah, there's a roommate. You have to disclose that information. If by any chance the roommate has like another policy with their own car, it's about a matter of us calling the company, because everybody has different guidelines, and saying, this is a situation. They're roommates, but they have their own. This one has their own car, and she's gonna have her own car, and let the company determine what's gonna happen. They might tell us you have to put them in and exclude them, and there's a surcharge. Oh well, that's one main thing that I learned when I started the business. Giving the right information to the agent, and when the agent starts telling you don't have to do this, or you should just try this, or maybe if you did, those are just red flags that at the end of the day you're gonna pay for that, not
right.
The agent.
Exactly.
Maybe the agent might pay one way or another, but at the end of the day, the documentations, you don't read what you sign.
Okay, so the next question is, how can you support people as an agent right now?
Okay, so my suggestion is get all your policies together, whether you have business insurance and your homeowner's insurance, and you can give us a call.
What's the number again?
786-592-1780. It's either Anel or Onassis that will answer a call, and we don't mind educating everyone, which is what we do. To go over your coverages. I know that every policy is different, especially with the businesses going on, especially the small businesses that are probably losing income. I think that you should, if you don't want to call us, and call your local agent. If you have coverage, you should definitely look into what is covered, what is not, what can you claim, what you cannot claim, because everything is different. We don't know what policies you have.
Right.
When it comes to your homeowners and your car's insurances, then it's just something to go over. We can go over anything. You don't have a problem. It's just
so it's best for every individual
Yeah.
to contact you, and you can maybe point them in
some direction. Yeah, and
Okay.
it's very important. I am especially looking into the small businesses. You know, I do follow a lot of small businesses on my Instagram and my Facebook, social media, whatever, and I can see that a lot of the small ones are being affected little by little. Big corporations, I don't think they're ever going to lose any money, in my opinion. But when it comes to the small ones, I can see how, you know, they've had to let go of people. It's not permanent, but you know, we can't pay everyone.
Everyone's at a pause.
Exactly.
So personally, Anel, how has this personally, not speaking about you as an agent, but how has this affected you and your family? This virus pandemic that's going on?
In my case, I guess, like, since I was in high school, I've seen, you know, viruses come and go, as you can say. This one, to me, I mean, I'm 45 years old right now, so I've seen craziness, and people, you know, the last one we had was the Zika virus, and Windward was quiet, but not the whole world was suffering. This one in here is just strange to see how, like, as the day goes by, you know, we're living on a day-to-day basis. You know, the type that we've never been where you can't go to school, and one thing is hard is keeping my daughter on track to do her work, and then I have to do my work at home. That is for I think most parents, I think that's, you know, the hardest pressure that we've been through. My oldest one is graduating, so I mean, it seems like he's just gonna graduate and that's it. But you know, my little one, you know, you have to be on top of the little ones. You know, some of them, you know, my niece had, she had like from 8:45 to 12 o'clock, and hers was, you know, interaction with the teachers, and then she does her work. My daughter knows she gets sent a bunch of work, and I have to print it out, and she's got to get it done, and that's, I think, the hard part. And then dealing with my everyday, you know, wife, mother, you know, entrepreneur, and then you know, communicating, you know, with my business partner, you know, hey, has this person called? Like, that's the part where I see it's affected us as a whole, as a family. I mean, we're very positive. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh my god, this is ridiculous, I know I have to stay home, the parks are closed. But I guess it's like, I've never personally lived it. Maybe this is something that my great grandparents maybe had to go through. I think that if I was living in an apartment, I think I would go more crazy than I live in a house and I can like walk my dogs or something, because you know, I have to exercise. You know, I have to go outside and exercise because it's giving you that anxiety. You know,
what's the bright side of what's happening? Like, not obviously,
no,
there's nothing bright
there
about
is,
it, but what do you?
I think that the bright side of it is that, again, we're holding on to a community. You know, we call each other, you know, hey Paula, how you doing? You know, like, keeping up. But the fact that we kind of like have to be like, when I was growing up, there was no, you know, electronics, so now we have to actually talk to each other, you know. Because I see the kids are still playing games, but you know that they're gonna get bored of playing 2-3 weeks of video gaming. And at least I have a basketball hoop. You know, I have like 3 boys staying in the house, my son and my 2 nephews, so they go out and shoot hoops, which is, my husband says, like, oh, lucky we have a basketball hoop, you know, or he'll come on and he'll jump rope, you know. So I think that's the positive thing, is that you have to communicate more, like, interaction. And I think that most of us are probably calling people that we hardly talk to, like, are you okay, you know. The hard part I was facing not a couple of days ago is that, you know, like, I have an uncle that he's not doing very well, and unfortunately we can't see him because they don't let us go into the hospital. So I think that if my brother, who's always, you know, taking care of him, he's having a hard time, that he can't see him, and, you know, they're telling us that the days are counted. I think that anyone that's going through similar situations like that, I think that's the hardest part of it. I think right now, so far, we're good. I'll tell you in a week later if we're not, because at least, you know, a hurricane is like a 24-hour thing. This is like a constant, like, 5, you know, day thing. The other thing is, like, at least we have social media, like, people are cracking jokes on it. You have to always see. I always say that when something negative happens, there's a positive that comes out of there. It doesn't matter if it's like some kind of a strong tragedy. It doesn't matter if it's this virus. You always have to see the positive side of it, because if we see the negative and the negative and the negative, and yes, people are dying and people are getting sick, if we continue seeing the negative, then we're just going to be depressed the whole time. So I think the bright side of it, the positive side is that maybe, parents are communicating a little bit with their, their teenagers, with the youngest ones. They got to put that, electronics down, because they're going to get bored, and I think that's it.
So, Anel, is there any last words or anything you would like to add before we end our interview?
Well, I do want to thank you for me talking about a little bit about what I do in the business. I know we have a lot of artists that come here into the bar, but sometimes we don't get to actually talk a lot about other important things as well, like my industry, So I do want to thank you on behalf of Onassis as well, and Rise Agents, so we can talk a little bit more and maybe educate clients or people in general of what we do. This is my second home, because everybody, there are people that tell me, like, where is it you go? And a lot of people don't know that this is a bar, but it's a very relaxing, environment. That actually, what I love is that anybody that comes here, you just have a conversation with, any stranger here, and I guess, that's what makes this a second home to most of us. So Josue too, who's my husband, who's, my other half that you guys can see. Also, this is like his other safe home for a lot of people. And, this establishment has many different people are coming from, hardships, many people that come from, broken families, I've heard it all, Ours is a little bit more positive. We'll get into that in a story later. Yes, but this is like a place where I just, I feel like we just can have any type of conversations. And I hope that anybody that sees it, when they come here, and they'll ask me more questions if they're interested. Especially these artists here, they need to know about insurance too. Trust me.
Well, thank you so much for coming today, and we will be having more interviews with you soon.
Thanks.